Welcome to Walking in Circles, a podcast about friendship, creativity, and the lifelong journey of becoming.
For more than 15 years, our group has gathered weekly to play, reflect, laugh, and share life. This season, 5 of us are on a creative pilgrimage, working through Julia Cameron's book, Walking in This World.
Each week, we explore what's bubbling up in our art, in our hearts, and our lives, as we rediscover the creative pulse within and around us.
I'm Chris.
I'm Cameron, and we'd like to invite you to listen in and continue the conversation. Walk with us as we keep learning what it means to be alive, awake, and connected.
What are your thoughts about this concept that the culture has something to say about artists and kind of the caricature? If you got a caricature from culture about what an artist looks like, it's not too flattering until you get to be a super genius. If you become Picasso or something great.
Sorry. Why are we wrapping this around the...
It was just hanging there waiting for you to get it situated so it's in your spot and you would have access. So I wonder if we did a quick caricature of what our culture says about an artist, not necessarily the super geniuses that we already acknowledge, but an artist, what would it be like? And I guess I'm thinking along the lines of sort of chaotic.
Yeah, scattered.
Unreliable.
Temperamental.
Style without substance.
Artsy fartsy.
Yep.
Not all there.
Yeah.
Disorganized, maybe flaky.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's where she starts, is like trying to rebut that a bit, give a rebuttal to that concept.
When I was listening to that part, she said something along the lines of like, yeah, she's like going through like what you think of when you think of like an artist, or she said something like some people are afraid to get lost in their art because they feel like they're going to like lose their minds or something. I don't know. I just think that's very dramatic.
Yeah.
I can't relate to that at all. I don't think that of artists. I don't think that of art.
Yeah.
Like,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Do some artists, maybe I've heard this in lore or the cultural perception of artists, is that some want to so that they can do their art better. They just need to get lost in their art.
Yeah. You got to cut off your ear or something. You got to have something traumatic or be...
Yeah, or like be totally ingrained and like lost and have no sense of time or the world or outside, and you just work for days on end or something like that.
So manic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a manic thing. I think there
like
are...
it's not rational. It's like you have to turn off the rational brain. You have to turn on your artist brain.
I think there are a fair number of people who have done a significant amount of their art using drugs.
Sure.
And so there's this thought of, if I don't...
Yeah.
Will I have access to the muse? Will I or not?
Was she talking about, because she kind of was saying like everyone's an artist, but I don't think she was talking about everyone when she was saying this. She was thinking of like people who identify like explicitly as artists, that people regard them a certain way. I get a little bit confused of what she was sort of saying, because although I am aware of the sort of the tropes we were just saying, I also think there are a lot of people who value people who are creative and artsy, and that's not very rare. I mean, people very frequently praise creativity. That's not quite the same as artistry necessarily, but I just would I get confused on who are the artists that are so that, and also like as we talked about last week, I might be deaf to all of the voices saying like anything that's critical of being artistic.
Sure.
Don't mean me. Don't.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So I don't know if that's people are. I don't know if it is that I'm not aware or deaf. I'm deaf to disparaging general like feelings sentiments toward creativity and artistry, or if people actually don't, by and large, say all the things that she seems to be sensitive about, or that maybe other artists are sensitive about. In that bit you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you feel disparaged? Do people here feel disparaged for their artistry and creativity?
I don't know that I feel disparaged, but I also don't feel like I've... It's a curious question because I don't know if any of us have ever identified it as an artist or if we could.
Sure. I would say, for me, I don't feel, maybe I wouldn't define myself as an artist, but I don't feel like it's approved. I wouldn't be supported if I said I was choosing a career in art
Yeah.
or creativity.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
my version of that is 1,000 times different, I feel like, than someone in New York in a studio doing their work. Doesn't mean I'm less of an artist in my definition or in hers. I honestly, I think one of the tasks maybe this week or last week was like, who is an artist you look up to or whatever. And I chose George Washington Carver and Ken Miles because they are artists in their own right and more in my field. And so
Who's Ken Miles?
Ken Miles is the racist car driver from the
Oh yeah,
Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That whole
He's
thing.
the mechanic and
Okay.
driver because he's like, he's so in tune with the machine. He knows how to build it. He knows how to drive it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what I would like to be for airplanes, but well,
I see. So it sounds like we kind of redefine, or she maybe redefines what it means to be an artist. Everyone's an artist.
Or I
But
did.
that first part she's talking about, she's saying like what our culture widely holds to be an artist is sort of this trope
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. So, and I think that may be true. Like I've always called myself an artist, always, but I've never said I'm a professional artist or I'm trying to like,
sure.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never literally had anybody ever say anything to me about being like all those things.
Right. But you're uniquely confident, as we were working through last week.
Yeah, confident.
He
Well,
can't
that's
hear
why I'm
the
asking.
noise.
That's why I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. I mean, I do think that people who are like, because I'm not saying like I'm making a living being like doing art, and I'm not like on the cutting edge of art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about those people, I think they are. It seems to me like they're like if they're really revolutionary, they're a little bit maybe unhinged, a little bit on the edge, a little eccentric, because they're always like
Yeah.
close to something that's just a little bit outside of what a normal person can reach.
Yeah.
And that's the same with anybody who's excellent in any field, honestly.
Yeah,
they're just like a little bit
absolutely.
more extreme probably
Exactly.
than anyone else is about that thing.
They're more invested. They're more geared towards that. Yeah, I was thinking a lot of great scientists I would
Yeah.
say are considered insane because
Yeah.
what they could do and how they think and like what they believe about the world.
Yeah, anybody. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know if I'm going straight there, but like for artistry, but like someone like Elon Musk, even like, yeah, he works like 100-hour weeks, has for like 40 years. Like obviously he's like extreme.
Yeah.
But also like the things she's saying that are disparaging about artists are just things people disparage people about generally. You don't have to be an artist. They just consider you a slob, you're disorganized.
Sure.
But those are just things we don't value. We value like,
Yeah.
in corporate America particularly, we value like timeliness and order and
Right.
Yeah.
ability to take.
Yeah.
So
Back to your original question, I think we value both things, but
Differently.
almost to degrees and percentages. It's like we don't need 95%, artists out here.
Yeah, yeah,
We need
sure.
most of us doing what we need to do, and maybe there's a few of you, and that typically goes along with, I think, like Zarna was talking about in that conversation that we listened to recently.
Yeah.
She's out there doing it, but it is not an acceptable pathway for her children.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not an acceptable pathway for anyone's children to be an artist.
Yeah.
What's your backup? What is
yeah.
your? And I think that probably just comes from fear, where there aren't that many people who are that successful
Yeah.
by it, and so as a parent, it's like I want you to be safe and
Yeah.
And specifically successful monetarily. I think
Yeah,
that's
by
our
an
American standard.
yeah.
Because I was thinking, how many German artists are there? Just because when you said we're ordered and thinking, I'm like, well, that's a very German thing. And there's so many jokes about Germans. Like, what if you drove without a license? No, this would not happen. I saw that on a talk show. It's just they have a different way of thinking and I love it.
I think-
and go for it, Adam.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but yeah, I think that's one of the things that kind of like the mind bug that infects me whenever I think about this conversation is just and I don't know, I don't think it's purely American, but it definitely is American, is the capitalistic mind bug of like, well, how can you make the most money or monetize this thing? And I think that is almost like the antithesis of art. And I think that's like I don't know, kind of the problem that people run into, because when you can't say I'm an artist without immediately, at least in this country, saying that, and then someone thinking, okay, so are you famous, or like how are you gonna make money, or like
Exactly.
Yeah,
you're so
absolutely.
you're poor.
I think
Yeah.
that kind of goes to a point I was gonna make too. Is like you say that it has to be connected to that, and engineers or like my favorite company, IDEO, they all they do is sit around and play all day, but they're solving problems, and that's acceptable. They're being artists. They're creating. They're thinking outside the box. They employ everyone across the sun because the greatest video that maybe the only one I've ever seen is they have a biologist, and there's several companies that want to hire this guy, but he's like, no, I'm having too much fun at this company that we're just making solutions, and they're part of big projects and
At
stuff.
least they've created an environment in which that's acceptable.
Right.
It's not, in a lot of places. I think in like where we grew up in.
I had to get used to not looking at you.
I know, I can see you.
I had to look at you on the screen. Otherwise, I just do this the whole time.
I can just see your chin moving when you're talking. For example, in Banner County, where we grew up, we were probably the artsy crew.
Yeah. That's
And for the most part, admired for that aspect, to some degree. But I also think there was a skepticism. People were like, "It's a little weird." Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, I don't know.
we were a little bit weird, though.
We were weird,
Yeah.
and owning it a bit.
Yeah.
But I think people were like not all going that direction.
Yeah.
And there were definitely detractors from, if they weren't vocally about us and our choices in our lives, it's like not what they wanted. Not what they wanted to be doing, what they wanted to be about. Probably didn't want their kids doing too much of that kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. It depends. There's a whole range, and it's so cultural. Mm-hmm. In some places, it's cool to be a band kid. In some places, it's not cool to be a band kid. It's every version of everything. So
True. And when you get into bigger areas, you can find a niche a lot of times.
yes.
I feel like in small areas like this, you might not find that niche. Mm-hmm. Like in Banner County, I don't know if you find the niche where it's cool to be a band kid.
No.
Now.
But it usually doesn't matter because the band kid is also playing football and also playing basketball and also out for one activity.
The band kid's not just a band kid. The band kid's an activities kid. Yeah.
So there's no cachet
True.
from being in band.
True.
But that same kid is doing all the other things too. So it's like a wash. It's like, okay, you want to do that? That's fine.
True.
Yeah. If you're good enough at the other things that are socially acceptable, the odd thing now is like, okay,
That's true.
We'll enjoy it while it's here, but we're not like
That's
going
true.
for it or rooting for
You
it.
enjoy a certain amount of social credibility already. You can cash that in to do something that's a little bit odd or unacceptable.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to jump too far ahead if people have more to say about this, but I want to see Seth and Julia fight today.
Oh,
That's what I think is set up in this. The art is therapeutic, not therapy. That whole section. I wonder if you honed in on it and how you feel about that as like an emerging psychotherapist, counselor, whatever version or title you're going to claim in that field.
Yeah, you might have to give me. I listened to chapter 3 last week, and then I listened to it a little bit of again this week. So
I can see from the first look on your face that you're going, help me out a little bit. You don't have to actually speak to this exactly, but everyone can speak to it. She's talking about how, and I think all the points are right. She's talking about, at the beginning, she's making a case for it being medicinal to participate in creatives. And this section sort of builds on that. She's saying it's not therapy, but it's therapeutic. It's good for you. I think she's back to alchemy again here in this section where she's talking about you're transforming something. And that is going to, in the next section, she talks about anger. So specifically that energy from anger and transforming that into something. I've heard people say, save the drama for the page. And I think that's a real thing. If you have a story you can live out, whether it be building or drawing or writing or on the page can be for a person, an athlete on a field, where you can take all that drama out there and express it, and you can transform it like alchemy. I listened to that section. I kept saying that Rumpelstiltskin was spinning. I don't know what I said. It's supposed to be straw into gold thread, right? Straw into gold. I think I said gold into thread or something ridiculous.
Thread into gold. You said thread into gold. Yeah.
Okay, so you're.
I know what you were.
Everyone knew what I meant.
Yeah, I heard it correctly when you said it.
And I think she's going for this concept that you can take all that sort of drama from your life and she's comparing it to therapy and saying in therapy you would talk it out or you talk about it. And I feel a little, I think she meant to say, at first I thought she was trying to give a disclaimer, like, I'm not saying this is therapy. It doesn't replace therapy. But the more I read that section, I thought she was kind of saying, I feel like there's an undercurrent of it's better than therapy.
Yeah.
Because it's actually, you're producing something with it and it's healing and it's all these things. And so it's not like a zero-sum game. We don't have to choose one thing or the other.
Right.
Hopefully we choose all the things, but I felt like that section was a bit antagonistic towards the concept of therapy. I just wonder what you guys thought.
Yeah. Yeah. You would have had to catch me last week, because that's when that was at the top of my mind. And you reminded me of like having similar thoughts about what she said. And I was like, it was a little bit minimalistic too of what therapy is. And so I felt that a little bit, but I think that was the main thing. Like, I think she was trying to make the point of this good thing over here, and she kind of used therapy as the scapegoat a little bit for that. But
Yeah. And it was probably just a setting. She's setting it against that.
Yeah, but she kept on setting against that.
Yeah.
At some point, I was like, "Get over you hate therapy. We get it." Because you kept
Yeah.
on bringing it up. Like you make the point, and then like 3 paragraphs later, there it is again. Not therapy though. So I felt that too. I thought she was two things. I think she was not as charitable toward therapy or what therapy can be as she should have been if she was trying to be fair. I don't think she was. And then she just it felt like she was preoccupied with it. She just kept on talking about how it was better than therapy and how therapy wasn't good.
Example, enlightened therapies are just to, quote, accept how we feel, end quote. Art teaches us to express how we feel and so alchemize it. Art acknowledges that feelings are mutable and that we contain the power to mutate the dross of our wounds into the ore of art. And it's very poetic and beautiful what art can do. I think she's right. But I also think, like you were saying, the nuance is that I think good therapy is also art. Just like good anything. A good therapist is an artist. And sometimes literally you're creating things. Art therapy is a real thing.
Yeah.
And all kinds of different therapies are real things. But even in conversation, I think a good therapist is creating. And I don't think she would actually negate that. But I just wanted to acknowledge it, I guess.
yeah, I think that like the more I'm going through my program, I think that to be a successful therapist in a like very corporate setting, maybe where you're working at like maybe for a government agency or just like a large nonprofit or something like that, the way to be a good therapist is to be skilled in like cognitive behavioral therapy or like a very like straightforward, we do this step, this step, this step, and this, and then we come to a good solution, or like solution focused therapy. Like it's very just straightforward. We do this, we talk about this, and then this is the outcome. But I think that like the more I'm learning about it and like going through the program, the more I'm realizing like I don't want to be that kind of therapist. I want to take all of the things, like being an integrative therapist obviously is what they talk about all the time, taking the good things from all the different methods, but like being a skilled therapist by taking all of those things and like I'm just basically saying that being an integrative therapist, but like there's more to it than just like here is your approach for therapy and you follow it step by step. But being a skilled therapist is like really engaging with the person and like walking them through things.
You're co-creating something with them, actually.
Yeah.
Yep. You're co-creating a relationship that's real and also simulation at the same time to help them co-create other things. And you're co-creating narratives and you're co-creating goals. And I think that's fundamentally what an artist is too.
Yeah.
It's just like a good computer programmer has to be on some level. I would be convinced that they have to be an artist, right?
Yeah, to do anything interesting
Yeah, to
or
do
worth
anything
doing.
interesting.
I mean, there's a certain dynamism. It's not just an algorithm, is what you're saying. Like, if you just have here's your approach, that's just like applying an algorithm. Do the steps. There is therapy. I suppose people do that, and you could do that as a programmer for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not. What is it? It doesn't have the spark.
Yeah.
And it's not likely to do
You
much
can
good.
create something with soul
Yeah.
as a computer scientist
For sure.
as well. Or as I think a policeman, right? I don't know exactly how it interacts with what you're doing right now, Adam, but I do think sort of like Seth you're saying, what I hear you saying is you're drawing on all these different modalities and the best of each, and what does each person specifically need. And you have to be doing that as a policeman, right? If you're interacting with someone, you have to see this person needs this thing, and I have to bring in this skill, and your experience with chore core and working with people and whatever it is. You have to be an artist. You have to be able to see what's before you, right? She talks about the ore of art and make something out of it. But I think what is before you?
Yeah,
You can do it, Brett. Get that can.
Sorry.
I can't see what he's doing.
He's
You can hear it,
desperately
though.
trying to reach his drink.
Did you hear me readjusting my microphone?
Yeah.
I'm trying to not brush it.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I had similar thoughts when I listened to that. One, I was like, I wonder what Seth and Chris and people in therapy adjacent fields think. And also, I was like, what therapist hurt her? But also, I give her the benefit of being like, maybe it just didn't come out the way that she was thinking, or maybe I'm just interpreting it in a different way than she intended. But
I think just one little interjection
Yeah.
before you go on. Just like people think doctors should know everything and every doctor should be good. People think therapists in the same way, but just like there are so many bad artists or amateur artists or whatever else, there are in every field, doctors, therapists, whatever.
Yeah.
So
That's what
not
my dad-
all artists.
my dad used to always say, is like, what do you call the doctor that got all C's in med school? It's like doctor. So,
Doctor.
but anyways, that as an aside, yeah, with like the different fields and stuff, I feel like what Seth is saying is a lot of like those corporate things. They like the lists. They like to say, okay, where is this person at in this very predetermined step? But anyone can do that. It's like, why do you have a trained therapist or doctor or policeman or whatever if you're just doing lists? I can read a list and I can say I'm at this step and then these what is what I do. Like they have that in policing all the time. It's like someone is speeding and then you do this thing and then now it's this law and it's like, okay, but then the actually good therapists, doctors, cops are able to take that information and synthesize it with other things like what is the best thing for this person and their specific situation. And then that's kind of where the artistry comes in, where you're not just following a list. Like you have to take in more. Because again, if it's just a list, anyone can do it. BJ could make a program that runs the world, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I like how you're all saying art is transformative and good therapy is transformative. Like I think she mentioned somewhere in there that therapy focuses on the past, and you said accepting what your emotions versus transforming them. I think that might have been the quote. But also acceptance is just the first step. You have to transform what those feelings are to change it and to do something different and to live different. I mean, that's transformative. That's alchemy. It's the same thing. You're just not putting it on a page or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you transform your life. That's
You're putting it
not
out in
easy.
the world.
Yeah, exactly. You're presenting your life as your art.
Yeah.
In a way too. So I think it's honestly the same thing.
Yeah.
If you do it intentionally and try it, and your end goal is to be changed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. And yeah, I do understand her distinction though between the past. Like you're focusing on the past in a lot of therapy if there's trauma or whatever, to like come to terms with it and to change your interaction with it. Like memory, you can, every time you think of a memory, you kind of change it a little bit in your head, you know. But art, you're thinking about what's present and future. You're trying to put something out there in the future that you want to do something maybe. And I can see that a little bit. I like the idea of it, that I want to go do something in the future, or like dream about this, or take what's in my brain that I want to do in the future and pull it back to now and like try to do it or whatever, or take steps back. I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah, it's believable and coherent with what she said earlier in the book about just general ideas and substituting thinking about doing things for doing them. A similar like affliction happens when we, what she said, cognate or something too much about ourselves. And I think that could happen in like therapy or whatever, I guess. Whenever you're trying to like work on yourself or understand yourself, it can be really helpful to do that. But sometimes you don't know what to do. You need something to do with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think that just thinking about it is doing something, and it's not. I mean, it's not nothing, but it's not enough usually. And but I'm curious because giving it some expression is one thing, but I mean, they're not separate processes. You can like learn about yourself and think, and then also express from that too. And also, if you don't think at all and you don't do the other thing, then I don't know how you're going to know what to. I mean,
Make.
yeah. I mean, you just like just start doing stuff, and I wonder, like, just. I mean, what do you do? Like, goes berserker mode and black out and make art?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's interesting because I think you're right, and I also think there's a part of me that I am literally feeling it in my body right now that says my body knows some things too. There's that whole subconscious, and so there's the thinking, and there's the conscious, and then there's the subconscious, and there are all these things, and being an integrated, bringing them together, they kind of know different things. Sometimes they know the same thing. I don't know.
Well, 100%. I think that's what I'm trying to say is like, you're not just a mind. You're like a mind and like a body. You are a body too, and you have all these. That's just a stand-in for like the parts of yourself that are beyond your consciousness. That's what I mean. Like as a body, just like you're more than that, and that part has lots of things to say and to do.
Yeah.
But I am just saying. I wonder what happens. You just make an art, and you just like your subconscious like.
What is it?
What did it do? I don't know what happens.
Yeah, you're asking actually what is happening.
What
is
happened?
the mechanism? What it, yeah, that's interesting.
Because it's also one of the interesting things of art, as a sort of aside, is that I always think that there's this mix of intention and actual practical outcome, and those aren't the same thing. And part of the lack of execution, if you will call it that, is part of the beauty of art, because you make something you didn't intend. It's more indifferent than you could ever do on purpose.
Even in something as garbage in, garbage out as computer science, right?
Yeah.
You're always producing an outcome that you didn't intend.
Yeah.
Going, what?
Well,
that's
as long
cool,
or it's not. It's experimental, and that was only worth the experiment. Now they throw it away. But it's like, if you're ever doing anything sufficiently complex or interesting, so as to be interesting, then it will have some sort of effect or side effect or something that's beyond what you had in mind or imagined. Exactly. And so part of the beauty of art or creating or experimenting is just to do something and see what it does.
Yeah.
And so I get that as like as an expression for your subconscious and for things that are in you that you're not aware of or whatever.
First of all, I want to say I agree with your mouth and your hands. That's what I can and then I realize I can see the little BJ.
I can sit here.
Yeah. So you're good.
On the
Keep
camera.
going. I can see your mouth perfectly.
That's where my soul is.
I do want to jump back to what you said. You said something along the lines of, Cameron, that good art is transformative, or true art or something. Art is transformative, and real therapy is also transformative. And it makes me think of this discussion that for me was an eye-opener in the living school. It was a new thought for me. It probably feels a little bit obvious to me now, but the first time we had a conversation about, I think it was in the context of various religions, and it was like, at the core, there's this circle, right? At the core of Christianity. And we could use contemplative core or whatever, the perennial core or whatever kind of word we want to use to describe those who are at this sort of central place. There is more in common with the people who are in that place, with those who are at the core of Buddhism, in the center of Muslim, and the depths of all these things, than there is within our own, maybe even connected to the fundamentalists or those on the outer rings of my own circle. But then he took it a step further, and this is the part that really made me think. So I think that's really, really true. I mean, if you get into core like Buddhism and you get into some of these thoughts, there are some pervasive thoughts that it's like, I've heard this before. We've all been saying this.
Yeah.
There's a resonance. He would say that's true in any discipline. At the core of physics, those who get to that place in physics have more in common, or whatever the field is of songwriting or novelists. The core group in any domain shares more in common with each other and an understanding there than we do sort of all those concentric circles outward.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting thing.
It's almost like just the image that popped in my brain that when you said that is like a picture of the Earth, and we're all at the core. If we're on the surface of the core, is the at the center of that circle. If we made it a sphere, we'll say we're at the core, and we're all just looking out different directions, and then the farther out you travel on that circle, or whatever circle you're on, is actually just farther out towards the edge of the sphere. That it makes sense. If you're on the surface of the earth, it's like being at the United States, literally geographically. If we went to the United States, and that's where we are, fundamental Christianity, we'll say at this time, and then you go to China, and that's kind of, or China, India, Asia, that's where the I can't remember. I think it started in China, Buddhism. I don't know.
Sorry. Keep going, please. Keep going.
Yeah, but you start there, and that the outer edge of that, they're thousands and thousands of miles apart, right? And then once you
Yes
travel
and no.
in, they're upon the surface, they are thousands of miles apart.
Yeah.
If you made a straight line through the earth, they'd still be far apart. But when you go to the center, and the parts of maybe this core
Convergent.
it's still, it converges at a point, but I won't say I'm at the very center. You're still on a closer level, or you're at a shorter distance now when you're at that core sphere versus the outer
Yeah.
sphere.
And the
which
only
is
reason I was
interesting.
throwing that in there is you're right, on the surface, of course. I know exactly the metaphor you're saying, total agreement. It sparks in me for those literalists out there who think they know the history of the church and they don't. Like, I'm a little bit bothered by the history that I know of for our Christian people, or whatever it was, usually goes back to maybe Martin Luther leaving the Catholic Church. If we get to Protestants and then eventually others who break off from these movements. But the actual truth, if you go back to first fruits of Christianity, is really interesting, because the Christian, I don't know if they even called themselves missionaries. I guess what we would call missionaries now were working in Asia alongside Buddhists, and they were co-translating their own scriptures. And so you see a really interesting, from the very beginning, overlap of concepts and ideas. That's not part of any of our history, but it is the actual history. And so from very early on, they were working on these things together.
Which is interesting historically, if you think about it, because, like I said, right now in America, you could say we're fundamental Christians, or that might be the majority, because it's always at a state and time, like a place and time, right? That's how we exist, is at a place and time, 3D plus time, 4 dimensions, whatever. Nerd. Anyway.
I'm sitting over listening to these things. Karen, I'm like, what? Did you guys do something before I came in here?
I don't know. I was feeling
You
not
did
so
something
hot this
outside.
afternoon, but
I want some of that, Cameron.
We decided you were having something before we came in.
I don't know. Anyway, so that happens at any point in time and space, and it's always different. And I think it is cool to see, like, as farther you go back, the more concentric things get. Also, in terms of like humanity's population was smaller. We came from Pangea, all those things, and like we were more connected, and like came from a similar root, and we can trace
aware
it back.
of our connection,
right?
Yeah, that's
so that's like, well, that's where we see fundamental truths in different areas, and we're just trying to piece them together. And the fundamental truths are the core of the message and the center of the circle that we're all looking for. And there's different ways to get there, even though we are maybe at a different length and arc. I'm gonna be super nerdy again. That when you get into quantum mechanics, like you can portal through time and space to interact with a different thing, and at different time, different place, and that doesn't have to be necessarily through just magic science.
Yeah,
it can be through text. It can be through tradition. It can be through many common physical or like experienceable things.
That's
right. Yeah. So it's so interesting that how we are so far apart and so close at the center, but then you're like, wait, but we're not actually, because now in the day and age of internet, also we're just connected, and it all just looks different, but it's still. Kind of the same thing.
So I have to jump and say, I'm still reeling from what you said, Chris, about those people in different disciplines. and then what you're saying. I don't think so. Yeah. So I think it occurs to me that they are converging towards something. Like they're drawing closer. Like you said, it's definitely true. Like as you gain a certain level of like mastery and artistry with something, that would be a technical thing. But it becomes like a thing that you have in common with like a master violinist or a theoretical physicist, or I mean, like that's crazy. So to me, it indicates you're like orbiting around some central thing, and you're drawing closer to it. And the people who are closest to it, wherever they came from, whichever side they're approaching from, are approaching. And what is that thing? And I don't think it's like a point. It's certainly not a point in the past, although it was a point that was in the past. You know what I mean?
There you go, yeah.
This thing moves through time, or doesn't, or time moves around it. I don't know how you want to say it.
If you want to get really nerdy,
Yeah.
It's the fabric of
it's
everything.
the
Yeah.
It is
tesseract, the
what we call
5-dimensional thing that actually doesn't obey any laws that we know of.
Or it is all the laws that you know of.
And it
The
just
laws are
falls over-
part of it.
Exactly.
I don't know, but I don't know about that. But I'm just saying it's very fascinating to think about that.
Yeah.
Because it's I don't know. I just think it's worthwhile thinking about what that is and what are people drawing close to, and how do we draw close to it?
Yeah.
Well, I think that might harken back. This is actually what I was going to say earlier when I commented on your mouth. I was thinking that all harkens back to, okay, so there's a resonance here that is across domains, across languages, across lots of different things. And I think one of the things that's interesting is what's happening in all of those domains, whether it be the physicist or whatever, is I feel like we get further and further away from a rigid, what is the word I'm looking for? A rigid adherement to literal
Yeah.
understandings.
Yeah.
The more we
material
move
level.
into abstract, metaphorical, that kind of thing, I mean, and we've heard it said, and we've said it many times, that literal is the lowest level of meaning.
Yeah.
There are all these levels on which something can mean something, and literally is the lowest level. And there's all these other layers, and that's where the overlap occurs. And I think that goes back to what you're saying, Brett, is if maybe this thing is like the material of the universe, or there are many ways to say that, that sort of awakening that I've had recently about this concept that when you make art, you are necessarily, you take no step unpartnered. Maybe that's part of that resonance in all those non-literal levels, that the universe, that others, they're joining you. You take no step unpartnered, even if it's, I'm alone in this room, I'm not alone in the history of mankind.
That's cool.
In thought across ages, across time, on all those different ways that you described before.
There's so many things that pop into my brain because you kind of mentioned that we talked about it the first week, and then last week we talked about you said taking no step unpartnered, and something else you said we mentioned last week, but it's makes me think of what ancestry and like how our ancestors also live within us, and also our past selves, kind of things.
Again,
like a tree.
If you get really, really literal, people get really antsy about that. But if you don't adhere to a literal understanding of that, it can be just as real and just as true, and be expressed 1,000 different ways.
Yeah.
It can be literal. It can be. I mean, what's the difference on some level?
Yeah.
If my granddad's spirit echoes in my mind,
Right.
what's the difference between that and Anyway,
It's
sorry.
just
Your granddad's
like-
spirit does echo in your mind.
It does.
Absolutely. If you remember your grandfather at all,
That
it does.
is it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you want to call it the stupidest version of that, then fine. But that doesn't make you smarter.
Right.
Right.
You know?
And yeah. Oh, what was I gonna say?
Sorry.
No, I had it. It's just okay. What we said last week. Original thought. Like there's no original ideas. It's the expression of it is different, right? Even when you're making art, writing books, or creating something new, you're actually just using everything you've been told and reformulating it in a new way.
It's
Even the physics and the laws thing, like we were talking about. If it's all extra dimensional and we haven't understood it, aren't we already obeying it though, too?
I need a montage of all these. I need one.
So it's like all the same again.
I hear Richard Rohr in my head when you say whatever you just said. The opposite is also true. And so there's no original thought. And also, necessarily, if it comes through you, it will come out uniquely in the world.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of the thing that she's trying to get us to do, or at least I'm trying to hear in what she's sharing in this book, is get over it. If you create, it will be formed by you. Stop with the hang-ups.
Yeah.
Walk towards the thing and see what walks back towards you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was actually saying that. I was trying to say that it's fascinating to see art is not the manifestation of the pure manifestation of your intentions. It's your intention, whatever you're aware of. And then we talked about that. And then your subconscious intention, which you're not aware of, which we talked about. And also your limitations as an expressor.
Yes, right.
And that's a valid
Yes.
part of art. I mean, I think there's what I tried to draw and there's what I drew. And those, I like, it's very real to say that I co-authored that art piece with something that wasn't under my control.
Yeah.
I'm not directly, I mean, maybe I can practice over time and control, like, to some degree what I'm exposed to as far as art goes and whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's the fact of limitation is an important ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's part of you that you're also meeting at that place.
Yeah, because you're limited.
Yeah.
And that's what it is to be in the world.
It's like the art of parenting. That sometimes we've had this idea, or people have impressed and shared this idea that you sort of decide who your kids will be and how they will be.
Yep.
And it's very clear that you're co-working with another person, even from the earliest.
Mostly that.
Yeah, mostly that. You're just like trying to like, can I help you? Can I help you?
Yeah.
You can help and you
Let's
can
not
hurt.
go over there.
But it's mostly them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So we have probably a few minutes left, and I wonder if we wanted to talk, if anyone wants to speak to, specifically there's a section on anger here. And or the tasks, and maybe part of that is the task there. How did it go making your list of anger? What does it look like to have anger as fuel? The last section was also cartography. I think that's a pretty cool image that she presents. It's the idea that an artist is a cartographer. You map the unknown. You're bringing things out of the subconscious, I think, to the conscious, out of the culture that's not conscious in the culture, and making it something that's visible and seeable, and so that people can have a reaction, that people can see what's inside of them and respond to it. And in all the fields and domains, I think we're sort of, if we're living from a place of being an artist, that we are sort of mapping unknown territories, unknown and unseen things, even in ourselves. So, what do you think about that, or how did the tasks go for you? Did anything show up when you were getting angry, or seeing what you're angry about?
I didn't do that. I didn't do the tasks this year, this chapter, this week. This year, honestly, I haven't done much. The only thing I've been doing is the walks. They're nice. But I did think about it, and maybe it'll be different if I did sit down and like think. But I don't know. Maybe that's the one emotion that I don't relate to the most. But like, I don't think I'm angry about anything. Yeah. So I was like, I can't think of one thing to put to even start.
You cannot do any art or therapy either.
You're
I can't.
unmotivated.
No.
You
I
probably
have-
don't get out of bed in the morning.
I have no fire. But no, I do. I guess I kind of relate to in a lot of like sports, and especially like combat sports and stuff. People are like, "Oh, you got to get angry," and it like fuels you. And I'm like, I can't relate to that. I don't know. Maybe that's why I suck at things. I don't know.
But
like-
you're excited about them. I think that's interesting
You don't
too.
suck at things.
Well, at certain
Right, Adam.
things, I am worse than others.
So you
but
have, it's one kind of energy?
Obviously.
Is that what you're saying, Cameron?
Above average.
Yeah. I was gonna
definitely
say
right.
it doesn't have to be. I mean, anger is a form of energy. She mentions in the next few chapters or something,
Yeah.
just different other forms like artistic and sexual.
You're sexual, so you can still do art.
Yeah, that's true.
Adam?
okay. I mean, I never said that I wasn't going to do art. I just can't. I can't make a list of even 3 things that I could start the sentence
Right.
with. I'm
Yeah, few
angry
ways.
that
Instead
blah.
of, for you, you're going to have to just jump ahead to chapter 4, is it? and write 50 ways in which you are sexual.
Nice.
And then
Okay.
use
Oh
that
yeah, that's
energy
easy.
and-
He already did that this year.
Yeah.
He's done that a few times this year.
Mhm.
Oh,
I
really?
I'm at 600.
The current art that he's working on is his own Kama Sutra.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Sweet.
The American way.
The American Kama Sutra.
To answer your question, I also didn't do it very like formally, but I did think about it. And I thought back to when I was in like high school and I was working out a lot, and the times where I was most successful working out and like saw the most progress was the times where I was the angriest. And it was high school, and so it was like it wasn't angry about like I don't know, things that seem important to me now. It was more like this girl broke up with me, or this whatever, you know, like junior high, high school, like
Okay.
those kinds of things to get angry about. But those things like still made like grew that fire in me, and like the hormones, testosterone, like all that was just like fueling me to like work really hard at working out and like building muscle and that kind of stuff. So it's interesting that the times where I've tried to go back to that since, where I've like matured and have been able to like, I won't say like address my emotions healthfully. I've probably more just tamped them down than anything. But I think that like at this point, when I like try to go work out or like invest in like things physically, it's a lot harder because I don't have that like big fuel to like get me going, I guess. Because I'm just like, I'm not angry about.
You sound
a
like an
whole
old
lot.
man.
Yeah.
The fire like burns down to embers.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's because like I have things that I'm angry about, but it's not like that kind of anger where it's like immediate, like it's rage, all I can think about, you know, it's like, and I don't know if it's like a healthy process. I'm sure some of it's maturity of like being able to process things better, but I'm sure also it's just like me trying to tamp those things down and like not feel them, you know?
Sure.
So I feel
Too
like,
tired. You have a baby.
yeah, that's true.
Also, I think we may never feel anything as strongly as we did when we were hitting puberty ever again.
There was a lot.
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of hormones going on back then.
It's unsolicited. It's just like
Unsolicited. That's right. I've never heard it described.
It is kind of. Puberty is kind of unsolicited. I did the thing, and I thought it was interesting to say that I was angry about a lot of things, but I'm really not. I think there are a few that I was angry about, like, because, you know, there are always some. But it was kind of freeing to say things that annoyed me without worrying about whether or not I'm actually angry. And you know, because I don't have 50 things I'm angry about. I maybe had like 3 or 4 things. And it felt a little bit like I was being like, she was moving my mouth, but say you're mad about that. You know, like, I'm not mad about it, but I didn't have any trouble coming up with 50 things that I wish were different, or that or that I regretted, or that kind of annoy me, or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're super motivating. It was kind of nice to just be aware of them. It's almost like, you know, it goes back to sometimes you shouldn't think about something because it makes you not do it. Well, if you're never going to do it, then sometimes thinking about it's just almost as good.
Sure.
Like our neighbors have trash in their driveway right outside their garage. It's just an old couch, which they got rid of, but an old couch and a bunch of garbage. And I never even consciously thought about that before. But it does kind of annoy me that I look out my window, I see garbage. So that was one of the things I said in my mind. That I'm mad that they have that old couch back there.
I think there's a phrase you said, Brett, that is a little telling that I wanted to kind of just place out there.
Therapy.
You said, that without worrying about whether I was angry about it, you're making this list without worrying about, and I think it's telling. I think none of us are going to feel angry very often or allow ourselves to. It's not really acceptable in our culture to be angry.
exactly.
In our subculture, I should say. And so, I mean, whatever it is, good Midwestern Christian,
White males.
evangelical, white
We don't have any
males.
right to be angry about anything.
Sure, all the things. And so I also want to say, I think there's more anger than we acknowledge. It doesn't mean we're going to burn down people's homes and we're going to rage against the world, but even those irritations and those things, we tend to mask them with other things. It's like, well, we know how often as a group in the last several years have we tried to name our emotions? in real time. We suck so bad. Even with like visual aids, the circle in front of us is like, I don't even know. Am I feeling this? Am I not? It's hard. It's not like a skill that has been developed.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that's become apparent to me is how often we tend to all have that primary emotion that covers the other emotions that we're really feeling.
Yeah.
So who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like with some of these exercises, it's like I'm just doing the exercise. It doesn't mean I'm actually angry. I'm not committing to be angry. But if I were, my Calm Theory capstone class, we had 36 theories. And one of our tasks that M. Griffin had us do in this class was to take every theory and then we had to write a journal entry from our life, acting as if this theory were true. They're all theories. None of them are proven. They're just ways to understand communication in the world around us. And you had to write from your perspective as if that were true. And I think there's a little bit of that here. It's like, I don't think we have the tools to know exactly where we land on some of these things. So you're kind of writing as if this were true or helpful or something for me to do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I think I could do that if it said pretend that you're angry.
What would
There you go.
write?
New homework.
If you had to get angry about 50 things, Adam, what would you?
Yeah. While you were talking, I was trying to think, and I like maybe the better word is either pretend that you're angry or write something down that annoys you. Because like annoy, I think I'm a little bit more apt to say.
Irritates you.
Is that the latest Matrix movie was such a letdown?
Yeah.
Like I wish it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not.
Angry about that.
Yeah.
Sure, I can pretend I'm angry about that.
And
Yeah, that's how I
seriously. And then there's probably some energy behind that, actually. Then, so it's almost like, and what would you do about that?
How would you change
I don't know,
it?
but it might lead you to something.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
if
I
you
see.
never acknowledge that.
I do feel inside something opened up, like a door that was shoved closed or something a little bit, just by being allowed to say I'm mad about that Matrix movie.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm serious. I think it's like something inside me feels like the lid came off a little bit, even though nothing came out.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So-
An experience. I shared my experience last time. I got to 8 and I thought I was done. And I was like, I'll just make myself try.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I had 64 and it was like, great. And in fact, a lot of those things they just kind of dissipate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious about that. Seth, you say you shove them down, your emotions, and that might be a coping mechanism or like a different way of processing as you've grown. But like, do you think you said like their ashes or you burn that fire? I don't remember the expression it was used, but if they were embers and you kind of gave them some fuel, or at least could think about them. I'm thinking with like any struggle, strife with something, and you let it come up, like what energy would that give you, and then what would you want to do? Like I think in my mind when I hear her saying this, like, okay, take your anger about this something and like in art make it the ideal, or what would you want it to be, or what does it look like, or like how does it express itself, and then how would you like it to be expressed? I think that would be interesting. What do you think? Do you think that's possible? What would you think that would do
Yeah.
for you?
I think like the times where maybe I've done that sort of things, like when Brooke and I are talking through something that happened in life or whatever. And I think I tell her, usually I'm like, I think I just have to feel this for a little bit. I think I have to tell myself this is what's happening, this is what I'm feeling, and sit with it for a little while. Let myself process it and all that. But I think it may be less like directed towards creating something or like expressing it into something, putting that energy into something, but just like in general being a more whole person. I think the direction I go with that, and I think she was talking about it in this chapter, and I don't remember the language she used, but she talked about doing these practices, doing these things, being an artist helps you become more yourself, I think, if that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that like just to be living in a better way, I have to sit with those things, feel them in a stronger way. And then I'm just like, I feel more myself. I'm not like this person that's trying not to feel angry about this or not to be upset or sad or whatever. Like I'm just being me, and that's good. And I feel more whole from that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how you said it, but what I heard at the beginning of that was something along the lines of, I think I might feel this, and I think I need to just sit with feeling this, or
Yeah.
it's almost not even certain what it is,
Yeah.
but I'm just going to act like this is what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that's true too. When I've been able to do that with something,
Mm-hmm.
very often, sometimes I'll go like, oh, that wasn't what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was this other thing.
Yeah.
But I would never have got there if I hadn't made the
like that.
attempt, if I hadn't pretended, like you were saying, Adam. I think that's a good word.
Yeah.
Pretend.
Yeah. Pretended, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like a more like concrete example is when I was in Omaha, I was having like a lot of health issues come up and I didn't know what it was. And I was feeling like some big things, like just like heart palpitations, anxiety, like things I never really felt before. And like at one point I like couldn't handle all the things that I was experiencing physically and mentally. And that was around the time where I had like a test for asthma done. We had visited that once before with the doctor, and then it came back, and I was like, Brooke, I think I just need to tell myself that it's asthma and not tell myself it's all these other things. And like after that, like at least on the level of anxiety and stuff, like it all like kind of leveled out a little bit. I wasn't feeling things as strongly. And whether or not I have asthma, probably, I guess, but it didn't really matter. I just needed to tell myself like, this is what's happening. And I need to believe that. If it's not true, it's fine. But I just need to believe that for now and move forward for a little bit.
Yeah, it's sort of the concept I had in my brain. I can always come back and change this. I can edit this later, but I need to mitigate the uncertainty in some level, or the idea of my mind spinning to 10,000 things. I have cancer and pollution and my heart's failing and whatever, whatever the things are.
Sure.
That's
You could do that. Did you believe it in your mind?
I think it was at some level able to tell myself that and be okay with believing it for that time. I think also it was like kind of what you were saying, like I can come back and change this later. But like I think it was if I told myself it's asthma and it is forever, then I don't think I could have done it. But telling myself like I'm gonna tell myself this is asthma right now and it may change in the future, and I'm like but like just have to believe this now, and I think I was more open to like sitting with that than
I mean, there's
so
something
absolute.
to sit with in that case. It's almost like it's like a what is it? I'm gonna kill this, but it's like like in a rite, in a religious rite, there's a thing, a symbol, an icon that stands in for like a larger, more like abstract, hard to wrap your head around thing. If that makes sense. It's very much like that because you like if you're overwhelmed, like just encountering the huge unknown thing is like not really useful in that moment.
Yeah.
But if you can just like, it doesn't have to be literally asthma. It's like, it doesn't literally have to be a gem or a piece of burning weeds or like a picture of Jesus or it's just like an icon. It's like a thing that you can be like, okay, I can focus on this as a human and this can be the thing for now. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
the way I was thinking of that is it gives you something to do with it. Mm-hmm. There's a place for that energy to go instead of it living in the middle of it. You can focus it through. I'm going to treat it like it's asthma. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. And it kind of focuses that. It is kind of what she's talking about in terms of alchemy, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's like taking that energy and like putting it into something, making it something else. And I think back to what you're saying, just to tie all the ends together, that something meets you in that. If we're paying attention. Now we can shut ourselves off and just decide this is what it is and write a fixed narrative. But most of us who are working, most of the time, if you're working in that center level of all those things, whether it be physics or Buddhism or any of those things, it's not very fixed. It's a dynamic level. There's all these things going on, and so you are. Well, I just lost the train of where I was going with that, but essentially you're taking that idea and it's an energy you're putting it into something, and it's meeting you also. So you can change your mind about it. As it gives you more information. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, it's kind of alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The thing is kind of alive.
It is. Yes.
It can act like a asthma. Mm-hmm. It can act like that if you want. You know?
Right. Well, and also, what is asthma?
Yeah.
It's a set of symptoms we decide. Like what I'm saying about a lot of these things.
Yeah.
There are multiple things that present in the same way. Mm-hmm. Certain
It's another
diseases and deficiencies, and there's all kinds of things that present with the same sort of. Yeah. And we've agreed, even on the DSM, right? Yeah. We've agreed a list of symptoms equals this disorder, but it's just because we agreed on them, and we got to name it something. It's a shortcut to something. Yeah, it's giving you something to go to.
It's the same thing. It's like where even if we're not at the center of the circle, we can't understand it at that level. I'm going to say two different things. They're going to be contradictory or, what's it?
Apparently.
Paradoxical. Because, like, if we're so literal out here and so, like, higher thinking or metaphorical in here, sometimes you can't understand what's in here, so you have to kind of go back out to understand the lowest form of meaning because our brains are so small. And
It has a place. It's
we
not
have
like
to
evil.
we have to go around sometimes to get to a different spot.
Yeah.
And it's never just still. I like the fact that we were just talking about the dynamism and the moving of it, because it's not still. We can't see things. It's like a shark. Like, if you're still, you're dead. Time doesn't stand still. Like, you have to be moving to experience something. It's like the elephant. You can't just be looking at the trunk and understand it all. You have to move to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so, and tie that in back.
Well, that's the Trinity.
It is. It is.
And what is that? It's like, it's in 17 different things. It's the same. It's creation. It's the universe.
The dynamism.
Physics.
Their
and all
choresis.
this. Yeah.
The
It's
dance.
the details. It's the particular, the incarnation, but also the spirit,
Yeah.
the incarnating.
The creative power.
Yeah.
The creation. And the love between them.
What? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all for taking some time. I know. Again, thanks for honoring. Take a couple deep breaths. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks for joining us.